At 6:47 a.m., on a Tuesday that would change everything, I was flat on my back in a maintenance tunnel that smelled like burnt insulation and 18 years of broken promises, troubleshooting why the main production line was drawing 340 amps when it should have been pulling 280. Some genius back in 2019 had wired the new sterilization units into the same panel as the assembly robots. Nobody thought to check the load calculations. Nobody but me, that is. My name is Marcus Rodriguez. Mac to anyone who's ever worked alongside me, which used to be just about everyone in this facility. I'm 48 years old. I've been the head electrician at MedTech Manufacturing since 2005, back when there were 12 employees, one coffee pot held together with electrical tape, and dreams bigger than our credit line. That morning started like every other morning for the last 18 years. Me unlocking the electrical room at 6:47, 23 minutes before anyone else, with the original brass key they gave me back when this place was in a strip mall next to a pizza joint. I kept that key on a steel ring with 11 others, each one labeled in my handwriting. Each one a little piece of this facility's electrical history that lived in my head and nowhere else. The overnight crew had left the break room microwave running with the door open again. Someone from quality control had left a space heater plugged in over the weekend. The main breaker was humming at 58 hertz instead of 60. Not technically my job to babysit grown adults. Not in any job description I ever signed. But guess who reset the frequency and checked every outlet at 7 in the morning? This guy. Some days I felt like the main breaker in this building. Everything flowed through me. I carried the load while they built their operations on top of my circuits. And I did it quietly, because that's what you do. That's what my old man taught me when I was 19, and he handed me his 1961 Klein wire strippers and said, "You wire it right, or you don't wire it at all." I kept those strippers in my toolbox, still had his voltage tester organized the same way he did. That toolbox had more value to me than any safety award they never gave me or any bonus they never thought to offer. The CEO thought I was maintenance. My business card said head electrician, but Charlie Bennett couldn't tell a circuit breaker from a coffee maker. My inbox had 400 unread work orders from people who couldn't change a light bulb without submitting a ticket in triplicate. And I handled every single one because that's the job. That's always been the job. It got worse when they brought in Stephen Walsh as the new HR director. Fresh out of grad school. All teeth and corporate buzzwords. Kid wore cactus bought with daddy's money and talked about synergy like he'd invented electricity. Probably thought OSHA was a type of yoga. Once asked me where the main disconnect was. I told him the same place his performance review was headed if he didn't learn how things actually worked around here. He didn't laugh. I didn't go to fancy business schools, never wore a tie that cost more than a week's groceries, but I knew that facility. Not like a supervisor knows a facility, but like you know your own truck, which panels clicked before a storm, which motors ran hot when humidity hit 70%, where the main feed made a sound like a rattlesnake if you pulled too many amps. I'd kept this company running through power outages, equipment failures, electrical fires, and 3 CEOs worth of terrible decisions, and they just forgot. No recognition, no handwritten thank you notes. Just once after I stayed until midnight to restore power during an ice storm that would have cost them $200,000 in lost production, the old VP gave me a half-eaten protein bar and said, "You're a saint, Mike." My name's Mac. After a while, I stopped correcting people. That loan, the one that kept us alive during the 2010 recession, when medical device orders dried up faster than spilled coffee. Charlie sat across from me at a Denny's and said, "Mac, if you don't help us bridge this gap, we'll be closing doors by Christmas." I got 45 families depending on this place. I didn't co-sign that loan. I took the whole thing. Put up my house, my truck, everything I had because nobody else could qualify, $2 million at 7.5% interest. Charlie promised it was just temporary. Just until we got the new contracts, said he'd transfer it to the company once we stabilized. I trusted him. We both forgot to follow up on that promise. After that first year, it was always me who handled the loan paperwork, me who dealt with the bank, me who coordinated the equipment purchases, the facility upgrades. The time we had to rewire the entire East Wing because some contractor used aluminum wire in a medical facility. They never asked about the loan, never even thought to check. I didn't mind at first. Back then, they felt like family. But like most families, they eventually forgot who paid the bills. You ever walk into a room you've spent 2 decades wiring and suddenly realize nobody sees you unless the power goes out? That was me, invisible until something sparked. Then suddenly I was everyone's dad and electrician rolled into one, expected to fix everything with a smile and a can-do attitude. So I kept showing up. Quiet, competent, reliable as the sunrise. That's what you do when you believe in something, when you think loyalty means something. When you still believe that doing good work will be enough. Then came that Monday. HR sent an all-staff email about operational efficiency improvements, which in corporate speak is like the electric company saying, "We're upgrading your service." My multimeter went cold. I'd seen enough executives cry into their laptops during layoff meetings to know what was coming. The meeting invite came at 4:58 p.m., just as I was replacing a burnt contactor in the packaging line. Subject line, quick sync with HR. No context, no warning, just a calendar event dropped onto my day like a short circuit in a thunderstorm. I showed up the next morning at 9 sharp, wearing my work shirt with the company logo I'd been wearing since 2007 and my steel-toed boots. Those boots had seen 3 CEOs, 1 electrical fire, and a Christmas party that ended in someone getting fired for very different reasons. They were my armor. Steven from HR was already seated in conference room B, smiling like a building inspector about to red tag a job site. Next to him, some guy from legal I'd never met before. Slicked hair, expensive shoes, and a folder he kept stroking like it contained nuclear launch codes. "Mac, thanks for coming in," Steven chirped. "We wanted to have a restructuring conversation." That word, restructuring. I'd heard it before, watched other people get restructured right out of their paychecks. I knew the playbook. First the smile, then the folder, then the apology that wasn't really an apology. "We're going in a new direction," Steven said. "Modernizing operations." I stared at him. That direction wouldn't happen to include me, would it? Silence. Then the lawyer slid the folder across the table. Inside, a generic severance package with more red tape than a hazmat site. 6 weeks' pay, NDA clause, health insurance until the end of the quarter. Real generous. The letter didn't even get my name right. Called me Marcus J. Rodriguez. 18 years, and they couldn't spell the name on the loan paperwork. "We're asking for your badge and keys today." The lawyer added monotone. "Also, any company property in your possession." I took a breath that could have tripped a breaker, reached into my bag, set the badge on the table like a poker chip. I was done playing. Next, the keys. All 12 of them, labeled in my handwriting from 2007, back when I stayed late to rekey the entire facility myself because the old lock system was a security nightmare. "You sure?" I asked. Eyes locked on Steven. He blinked. "I'm sorry, you sure you want these?" I held up the key ring. Last chance to think it through. Steven gave me that HR face, sympathetic, professional, fake as a counterfeit 20. "It's not personal, Mac." Sure it wasn't. I stood up, buttoned my work shirt, and picked up that sad little severance folder. "You just fired the only person in this building who knows where the main electrical shutoff is. Good luck with that." I walked out before I could say something that would feel good for 10 seconds and cost me the next 10 years. The sun hit my face like a slap. The sidewalk hummed with people who had no idea they'd just watched a building sign its own death warrant. I didn't cry. Not after 18 years of fixing their mistakes, training their new hires, keeping their precious equipment running. They wanted to forget me, fine, but they'd forgotten too much. I didn't drive straight home. I pulled into a McDonald's parking lot, killed the engine, and sat there for a minute. Then I called Rick Patterson. Rick was my neighbor's kid. Grew up helping me wire my garage for $20 and cold lemonade. Now he's a financial attorney with a Bluetooth headset permanently attached to his skull and a nervous twitch when people say the word foreclosure. He picked up on the second ring. "Mac, everything okay?" "No," I said, "but it's about to be. You remember that loan we drew up in 2010? A pause, then a low whistle. "Oh, that loan. Yep. Do they know?" I smiled for the first time that day. Not a warm smile, a dangerous one. They just asked for the keys back. So I think it's time I collected everything they owe me. My house smelled like WD-40 and old Clint Eastwood movies. My way of staying sane. I dropped my bag by the door, kicked off my boots, and walked straight to the garage where I kept the important things. Not in a filing cabinet. In my father's red Craftsman toolbox, 1961, top drawer, under the wire strippers. The loan documents. I spread them out on my workbench like blueprints. 18 years old, coffee-stained, held together with spite and staples. Original loan agreement, 6 amendments. A receipt for the main electrical panel I bought in 2011 before the company could afford real equipment. Even a crayon drawing from my son Diego when he was 8, back when he used to visit the facility and thought Daddy fixed everything. Page 7, Section 4C. Monthly payment of principal and interest shall be paid by borrower no later than the 15th day of each month. I checked my bank records. Last payment, February 15th. Today was August 3rd, 6 months behind. Not one phone call, not one email, not even a certified letter to my attorney. They were so busy celebrating their new efficiency initiatives and playing musical chairs with executive titles that they forgot about the $2 million loan that kept them breathing. I sat back in my garage chair. A smile crawled across my face, the kind you wear when you realize the universe just handed you a winning lottery ticket. They just fired the creditor, and now they were 6 months behind on payments. My son Diego was starting his sophomore year at State in 3 weeks. Business major. Tuition was $18,000 a semester, and I'd been sweating those payments since his acceptance letter arrived. The kid wanted to understand how companies worked, how people like Charlie Bennett stayed in business while people like me kept the lights on. Maybe it was time for his first real lesson in business ethics. I picked up my phone and started checking. Equipment financing, still in my name from the 2015 expansion. Electrical service contracts, renewed last year under my direct authorization. Even the liability insurance for the main electrical systems, routed through a business account I'd opened with the insurance company back in 2008 when the old coverage lapsed. Everything that mattered still ran through me. I was the invisible infrastructure, and they just asked me to leave. I could have warned them, could have sent an email with a subject line like, "Hey, you forgot something important." That's what the old Mac would have done. The Mac who believed loyalty was a two-way street. But that Mac got handed a severance package with his name spelled wrong after 18 years of keeping the lights on. So I closed the loan folder. I finished my beer, and I decided, for the first time in 2 decades, to shut up and let them walk off the cliff they'd built for themselves. I wore my good boots to the meeting with First National Bank, not because I needed to impress anyone, but because they made a solid sound on marble floors. I wanted to be heard coming. Patricia Williams looked up from her computer when I walked into her office. She was the kind of person who had 17 different pens on her desk and always smelled like fresh printer toner. "Mac," she said, surprised, "didn't expect to see you." I smiled, just here to clarify some things about the MedTech loan. I pulled out my folder and handed her the documentation. Original loan, all 6 amendments, everything pristine, right down to that crayon drawing from Diego during our 2011 renewal meeting. "I want to confirm something," I said. "There's been no payment received since February 15th, correct?" She clicked through her computer like it owed her money. No, not from the company, nothing logged. I assume they were working out a modified payment plan while they sorted out some internal issues." I nodded. "Under Clause 4C, that puts them in default after 90 days, which means I can demand full payment or begin foreclosure proceedings." Patricia leaned back. Her chair creaked like old floorboards. "Technically, yes." I pulled another paper from my bag-thick stock. Official letterhead Rick had drafted up. "I'd like to formally notify you of my intent to accelerate the loan and demand immediate payment in full." Her eyebrows shot up. "Wait, you're calling the loan?" "Yep." I stood up. As the creditor of record, I'm exercising my rights under the default clause. They have 30 days to pay $1.8 million or I start seizing assets. "This is going to be messy." "Messy," I said, buttoning my jacket, "is what they handed me after 2 decades. I'm just returning the favor." Back home, I filed the demand notice through the county portal, paid extra to expedite. The confirmation email hit my inbox with a satisfying ding. Then, like clockwork, HR emailed me. Subject: confirmation of returned property. "Dear Mac, hope you're doing well. We're reaching out to confirm you've returned all company property, including documentation, keys, badges, and other physical or digital assets. Please respond to confirm. Best, Stephen." I didn't hesitate. Clicked reply all because I knew Stephen loved to CC half the company to make himself look busy. "Yes, including the ones you forgot I had." I hit send and leaned back in my chair. That night I couldn't sleep, not from guilt, from something else. I kept thinking about Diego. He'd be starting his sophomore year in 3 weeks. Business major, wanted to understand how companies worked. I wondered if he'd be proud or ashamed when he found out what his old man had done. Then I remembered something my father used to say back when he was teaching me how to wire a panel box. Mac, you do good work because that's who you are. Not because of who's watching. I wasn't doing this to them. I was doing this for the guy I used to be. The one who believed showing up and doing it right would be enough. The one who deserved better than a misspelled name and a severance check that couldn't even cover 2 months of Diego's tuition. I owed him this. The guilt disappeared. The sleep came easy after that. 2 mornings later, I stood in my garage with a cup of black coffee and the certified letter in my other hand. Heavy envelope, return signature, county court stamp, demand for payment, default notice. My name in bold at the top, spelled correctly. Across town, the same envelope landed at reception around 9:15 a.m. The legal department forwarded it to Charlie's office by 10:30. He probably thought it was junk mail at first. Standard debt collection notice. Happens all the time in business, until he opened it and saw the amount, $1,847,362,018 points. Principal, interest, and fees, due in full within 30 days or face immediate asset seizure at exactly 8:03 a.m. The following Monday, Stephen strolled into the building like a motivational speaker, late to his own seminar. Coffee in hand, caucus pressed like armor against accountability. By 8:08, he was standing in front of Charlie's office with his jaw hanging like a broken gate. Fluorescent orange foreclosure notice, laminated, zip-tied to the door handle. Notice of intent to foreclose, secured debt in default. He pulled out his phone, fingers shaking like he'd overdosed on caffeine, tried to peel the notice off, but it held fast like judgment. By 8:30, Charlie arrived, unshaven, Bluetooth headset in one ear. Probably thought he was walking into another crushing it kind of morning. Instead, he found Stephen pacing, the quality control team rubbernecking, and a legal document zip-tied to his door like a game over screen. He yanked it off. Read it. Blinked. Read it again. By 9:02, his phone rang. Patricia Williams, First National Bank, Mr. Bennett, this is to confirm we've received formal notice of loan acceleration from Mr. Rodriguez. The full amount is due within 30 days per the original loan agreement. What? We never got any notice. Notice was sent to your registered business address, delivered and signed for. We assumed your silence was intentional. By 10:20, someone finally figured out who the creditor was. Stephen opened his laptop, pulled up the scanned court documents. There it was, plain as daylight. Creditor. Marcus Rodriguez. Wait, Mac. Our Mac. Eddie Morrison from Facilities. One of the good ones nodded from the break room doorway. Told you something was weird about that whole thing. The call came at 7:42 p.m. I was organizing socket wrenches in my dad's toolbox because a man needs order somewhere in this world. The screen lit up with a name I hadn't seen since the Christmas party where he forgot mine. Bennett, Charles, CEO. I let it ring twice, 3 times. Picked up on the 4th, Rodriguez speaking. He didn't waste time. What the hell is going on? You can't do this. I put him on speaker, poured myself 2 fingers of whiskey, and leaned against my workbench, like I was settling in for my favorite ball game. I absolutely can. And I did read your loan agreement. You're foreclosing on an entire company. Do you have any idea what this looks like? The board's losing it. We've got suppliers calling, our investors. I cut him off. Charlie, let me stop you right there. You fired the person who held the paper. All of it. Financial, legal, operational. You didn't even ask who signed the loan. We assumed. That's the problem. You assumed. About everything. About me, about what I was worth, about what would happen if you threw me away like a burnt-out breaker. Silence on the other end. Heavy breathing. You blindsided us, he finally said. Funny, I remember being blindsided. Difference is I came prepared. This doesn't just come back on you. The board is going to, they'll do what they always do, protect themselves, maybe throw you under the bus if they're hungry enough. But they won't call me because I have the paperwork and my son needs college tuition. That shut him up. Just to clarify, I continued, I didn't sell the company out. I just stopped carrying it on my back. The line went quiet, then disconnected. By Friday morning, the company was in full panic mode, throwing money at every bank within 10 miles. Too little, too late. Monday morning hit like a falling piano. Down on Industrial Boulevard. They were wheeling medical equipment and half-empty filing cabinets into a rented U-Haul with one missing tail light. Stephen wore sunglasses the size of dinner plates. Someone had taped printer paper to the truck. Strategic relocation. Then came the moment. Charlie, exhausted, sweat-stained, completely lost it. A folding chair flew from his hands and smacked the side of the U-Haul with a hollow clang. Someone posted the video within minutes. 3 hours later, it hit every trade publication in the region. I drove by at 3:47 p.m., not to gloat, but to see it finished. The U-Haul was pulling away, one tail light still busted. The building stood empty for the first time since 2005. Through the glass doors, I could see Diana Foster's crew already measuring for their new wellness equipment manufacturing setup. She waved from the loading dock. I rolled down my window. "All yours," I said. "You built something solid here, Mac. We'll honor that." I nodded, didn't need her to honor it. I just needed them to remember that foundations matter. That the people who know where the circuits run and the breakers trip aren't interchangeable parts. I drove home the long way past the Denny's where Charlie and I signed that first loan 13 years ago. It's a Starbucks now. Everything changes. Everything except the lesson I learned too late. Loyalty without reciprocity is just free labor with a smile. Eddie called me 2 days later, said he'd quit. Couldn't stomach working for people who'd throw away 2 decades of a man's life over a misspelled severance letter. "What are you going to do now?" he asked. I looked at my father's toolbox. At the phone that hadn't stopped ringing with calls from other manufacturers who'd heard what happened and wanted someone who actually knew what a load calculation was. "Same thing I've always done," I said. "The work, just for people who remember to say thank you." 3 months later, I was consulting for 4 manufacturing facilities, making double what I made before, setting my own hours. Every contract I signed, I made sure my name was spelled right. Diego's tuition was covered, and he was asking me questions about business ethics for his term paper. That evening, I stood in my garage with a cup of black coffee and looked at the wall next to my dad's photo and my first paycheck from 1987. I mounted a small brass hook. I pulled the original facility key from 2005 out of my pocket, hung it there like a trophy. Not as a reminder of what I lost, but as proof of what I built and what I took back. They thought I was obsolete. I just changed employers. 18 years they took for granted. 18 years I showed up, fixed things, kept the wheels turning while they built their dreams on top of my circuits. They wanted me redundant. I reminded them I was foundational. They forgot I was the main breaker, and when a main breaker trips, the whole building goes dark. Turns out competence never retires. Sometimes the foundation you build for others becomes the very weapon they hand you when they try to tear you down. In the end, the people who forget your value are the same ones who discover they can't survive without it.